Welcome to News Briefs. Today, we're jumping right into a stack of high tension updates that show exactly where policy and innovation are clashing. From Washington's closed doors to the future of genetic medicine, it feels like a breakdown of traditional boundaries everywhere. We have to start in Washington. The sheer volume of critical activity hitting the courts and Congress is staggering. The Supreme Court seems to be the eye of the storm. We're expecting a ruling on global tariffs any day now, but what's remarkable is President Trump's strong accusation that Canada is trying to interfere in that pending decision. This wasn't just talk, it led to key trade negotiations being canceled immediately, showing just how volatile the economy is. Then, on immigration, the court confirmed an earlier ruling on October 20th. It upheld the administration's authority to suspend temporary protected status TPS for Venezuelans. This is a massive ruling affecting around 600,000 people who now face significant uncertainty and potential deportation. This fits a pattern of stricter control. Back in September, the court lifted restrictions on migratory detentions in Los Angeles, allowing ICE to conduct more intensive operations. Congress is also adding financial hurdles. A mandatory $1,000 fee for conditional humanitarian parole approval, part of the H.R. 1 law, went into effect on October 16th. That's a huge barrier for people in an emergency. Furthermore, both USCIS, Citizenship and Immigration Services, and the courts have implemented a new $100 fee for asylum applications. Deadlines are hitting now, with notices going out on October 23rd from the courts and an October 31st deadline for USCIS. The process might be faster, but it is much more expensive right away. Economic pressure is clearly a policy tool. We also need to talk about the Riley Law, which the House approved back in February. This law mandates ICE detention for any undocumented immigrant accused of a crime, not convicted even for minor things. This broad mandate has generated massive concern, especially in the business community. On October 22nd, business leaders warned Congress that these constant threats of mass deportations are directly causing labor shortages. This is the key conflict: policy goals hitting economic reality. All this is happening while the federal government is still partially shut down. Today is day 24, which started on October 1st, leaving over 500,000 federal workers unpaid. The shutdown stems from disagreements over health subsidies that could benefit undocumented immigrants. The irony is powerful. The Supreme Court building itself is currently closed to the public due to insufficient budgetary allocation. The very symbol of the system is locked in conflict. This breakdown is spilling onto the streets. In Chicago's La Villita neighborhood, clashes continued for a second day between protesters and federal agents, mostly Border Patrol. There are confirmed reports of chemical agents like pepper spray being used, despite a judicial order from October 9th meant to limit their use. It appears orders aren't being followed on the ground. Lawyers have filed formal complaints and multiple arrests, including those of students, have occurred. Similar tensions are happening in San Francisco amid ongoing Bay Area protests. Serious incidents were reported at a Coast Guard base in Alameda, including reports of federal agents allegedly firing at a truck. President Trump announced a temporary freeze on the deployment of the National Guard in San Francisco after speaking with local officials. However, activists are skeptical, pointing to past events in Oregon where freezes weren't fully honored. The core distrust remains. The whole atmosphere is charged, and even minor incidents feel significant, like in Arizona, where 2 immigration agents sustained minor injuries during a pursuit that ended in a collision. It's just another flashpoint. Shifting from domestic tension to the global stage, climate policy. The U.S. took a firm international stance on October 21st, spearheading a vote at the International Maritime Organization to postpone the Net Zero Frame Initiative, the one aimed at cutting global ship emissions. The postponement is until at least 2027. President Trump labeled the initiative a green scam. This posture aligns strongly with Project 2025 objectives, which aim to deprioritize climate science in federal agencies. This move casts major doubt on the long term future of big laws like the Inflation Reduction Act, IRA. But the message is internally inconsistent. The U.S. did participate in the 2025 Global Ethanol Summit, focusing on biofuels. And on October 23rd, the administration recognized 100 Hispanic leaders for their climate commitment. Adding to the geopolitical mix are comments about drug cartels. President Trump asserted he doesn't need congressional permission for military strikes against them and even mentioned considering ground operations. He named Mexico and Colombia specifically as countries he views as controlled by cartels, though he showed respect for Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. Still, it's a very direct challenge to sovereignty. Back in D.C., in a strange story from the White House, the historic 1902 East Wing was demolished without any prior public notice. This raises huge transparency questions, but there are no clear answers yet. Quickly, on state politics, in a surprise move in New York, Mayor Eric Adams is now backing his former rival, Andrew Cuomo, as his successor. Meanwhile, New York State Attorney General Letitia James is facing federal charges herself for alleged mortgage fraud in Virginia. Her supporters, like Governor Hochul, are calling it political persecution, linking it to James's high-profile investigations against the former president. The legal and political are completely tangled. Let's pivot now. While all this political infighting is happening, the world of scientific innovation is accelerating. There's genuinely exciting news in health from a study by the University of Florida and MD Anderson Cancer Center. They found that giving the COVID-19 mRNA vaccine shortly after starting immunotherapy significantly improves survival rates for lung cancer and melanoma patients. This is huge. The mRNA tech isn't just for viruses. It delivers temporary instructions to train the immune system. This suggests it could be repurposed to boost the body's defenses against cancer or even genetic diseases. The other huge leap is in genetic medicine, CRISPR. A big milestone was set in the U.S. back in July when the first personalized CRISPR treatment was given to a baby, setting a massive regulatory precedent. This tech is moving into the real world. The CRISPR-based treatment Casgevy for sickle cell anemia and beta thalassemia is now being implemented in about 50 medical centers across North America. Plus, Phase 3 trials are underway for other rare diseases like GSD1A, which started in May. This feeds right into personalized medicine, tailoring treatment based on your genes. It's estimated that by 2025, 90% of U.S. cancer patients will get treatment based on analysis of their specific genome. AI is heavily involved in that analysis. Programs like the NIH's All of Us initiative use AI to process complex genomic data. The ultimate goal is longevity. Harvard researchers are using AI to develop gene therapies for cellular rejuvenation, with human trials for epigenetic therapy planned for January 2026. The ambitious goal is to extend healthy lifespan up to 150 years. While we wait for that, some current drugs are showing unexpected benefits. Those GLP-1 obesity drugs are proving to have significant cardiovascular and renal health benefits, way beyond just weight loss. And a quick tech note on health. Microsoft's Copilot AI can now answer health questions using verified sources like Harvard Health. But this is crucial. It comes with a big warning. It is general information only and is absolutely not a substitute for talking to a real doctor or getting a diagnosis. It's just an informative tool, not a replacement for medical advice. That leads us into the AI regulatory storm. The speed of innovation seems to be blowing past the law. OpenAI launched ChatGPT Atlas, an AI-powered web browser, on October 21st. Yet, a report from October 23rd showed 76% of people globally believe we urgently need international law to regulate AI. Domestically, the FCC acted fast on one thing. Robocalls using AI generated voices are now illegal, following the incident with the former president's cloned voice. But overall, federal regulation is the challenge. The H.R. 1 bill in May tried to stop states from making their own AI laws for 10 years, but the Senate rejected it in July. This created a regulatory mosaic. Now states are doing their own thing. New York is talking about the AIR Act for high-risk AI standards. California already has rules holding employers responsible for algorithmic discrimination, requiring bias audits. It's a patchwork and a total headache for businesses operating nationally. Other states like Montana, Iowa, and Delaware have passed data privacy laws that also impact AI. Amidst this chaos, Microsoft is overhauling Copilot, giving it an avatar named Eco. It's animated, customizable, and can apparently transform into Clippy from the 90s. But beyond the novelty, the functional changes are the real story. First, memory. Eco can recall personal info you share with explicit, deletable permission to give personalized answers. Second, group collaboration. Up to 32 people in one chat where Eco can summarize, count votes, and assign tasks. They also introduced Learn Live, where Eco acts like a Socratic tutor, asking questions and using interactive whiteboards rather than just giving answers. Plus, Journeys in the Edge browser remembers your open tabs and searches. Finally, they've added connectors for Gmail, OneDrive, and Google Drive, closing the gap with competitors. AI is getting more integrated and personal while the rules are still being figured out. That tension is sharpest in Hollywood, where the pressure cooker of efficiency versus job loss is boiling over. On October 22nd, entrepreneur Kevin O'Leary proposed replacing human extras with AI to cut costs. Director Guillermo del Toro pushed back hard the next day, calling AI-generated aesthetics a form of fascism and defending human artistry. This highlights the core debate, creativity versus automation. And it's very real. The Writers Guild, WGA, already set limits on AI replacing screenwriters. We're seeing AI-generated actors like Tilly Norwood pop up. Amazon Prime is facing protests from voice actor unions for using voice cloning to dub films. While actors protest, the efficiency argument is powerful. AI is allegedly being used in visual effects, VFX, at places like Disney, cutting rendering times by up to 50%. It's a profound shift, which is why both the American film market, AFM, and the Cannes Marché du Film next year are dedicating special sections to AI. Shifting to the basketball court, the NBA season kicked off with an explosive start, including OKC beating Houston in double overtime and Luka Doncic dropping 43 against the Warriors. But the bigger story isn't the scores. Unfortunately, the league's integrity is under fire. On October 23rd, the FBI arrested over 30 people in an illegal gambling operation. Detainees include Portland Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups, accused of participating in fixed poker games linked to the mafia. He wasn't the only one. Miami Heat player Terry Rozier was also detained, accused of using privileged league info for NBA bets. This is especially bad after the Jonte Porter suspension, and it strikes at the core credibility of the sport. Finally, in entertainment business, the consolidation trend continues. The Writers Guild is opposing a potential merger between Paramount and Warner Bros. Discovery. There are also rumors that Paramount Plus might disappear as a standalone service in 2025. The future looks like bundles, similar to the Disney Plus Hulu combination. Meanwhile, new content keeps coming. Netflix dropped Attack 13, a documentary on the Florence Monster, and HBO Max has The Hour of Disappearance and more Adventure Time. In Latino entertainment, a new documentary about singer Juan Gabriel was announced, promising unreleased material. And at the Billboard Latin Music Awards, Bad Bunny was the big winner, while Rita Moreno received the Artist of the Century award. That was a lot, so let's connect these threads. We've gone from financial pressures literally closing the Supreme Court to science promising healthy lives of up to 150 years. We've seen technology threatening to replace actors while also making production faster. This stack of news paints a picture of an incredibly intense period. Policy, tech, and culture are all changing at breakneck speed, creating friction and uncertainty in every sector. Critical thinking is essential in this world of information overload. We see policy decisions that might benefit the economy, like GLP-1 drugs helping with heart health, while at the same time, other policies put severe financial restrictions on vulnerable people, like the new mandatory immigration fees. Understanding these cause and effect relationships is paramount. So, what does this all mean as you navigate this world? Here's something to mull over. Consider the implications of that AI regulatory mosaic, the patchwork of state laws. If every single US state creates its own distinct set of AI rules, think about the competitive challenges that poses for the country's innovation engine, especially when 76% of people globally are demanding a single international standard. What are the long term consequences for national competitiveness? That's something to think about.